Hi, well, welcome to the Old Geezer's Diary on Sunday, the 26th of May, 2019. I'm really sorry about the background noise on this one, but there you go. I'm going to talk about politics today because I fancy it. With Mrs May's last attempt to drag us out of the EU having completely failed, she's finally leaving. Thank God for that. What a useless experience that's been. But we are left now with a contest for the leadership of the Tory party, and I have to say, what can you say really? The top three candidates, those three, so that's Mr Gove, Michael Gove, who I think is a completely, well, I don't know, I think I would describe him as a smarmy git. I think he's very smooth, terribly rich, very posh, and I wouldn't trust him in the same room as my aged grandmother if I had one. We've got Mr Hunt, one of whose minions actually threatened to put me in prison many years ago for putting stuff on the internet that he didn't like because I'd also put it on TV. There you go. So Mr Hunt and I but I think he's another one of the same. He's very rich, he's very smooth, he likes being in charge, and I think he's mucked up to a large degree our health service, and I think he mucks up most things he touches, so I wouldn't trust him either. The third of the trio that I find very hard to deal with is Boris Johnson. Many years ago I was a Boris fan. I actually interviewed him once for local news purposes at the House of Commons, and I thought he came across extremely well. But then when we had the Brexit referendum, the whole thing went pear-shaped. Mr Johnson told enormous volumes of untruths. He turned out to be, I think I'm fair to say, a lying bastard who would tell you anything to get what he wanted. I think a number of ladies have also discovered this. But Mr Johnson, I wouldn't trust Mr Johnson under any circumstances because I think essentially he is merely a manipulator. He gets his little claws into you and twists. He puts you down the direction he wants you to go, and I think he would be a disaster for our country, and I think he would be a disaster really for everything he touched. So there's the top three Tories, and I wouldn't trust any one of the buggers. But I don't have to trust any of those three people apart from the one who wins, if you take my point. The way it works is that there are, I think, currently 8 candidates standing for the Tory leadership, those 3 and 5 others. And the reality is that what will happen is if there are only 2 competitors standing, then the rank and file of the Tory party vote for the winner. If there are more than 3 candidates who get through to the final election, then in fact Tory MPs select down to the final 2, and again the rank and file of the Tory party vote for the final leader out of the 2 candidates. So it's a really interesting one, isn't it? But we as ordinary members of the public don't have any say whatsoever in who leads our country. That happens, I think, in 2020, May 2022 is when the next election is due. But of course, if the current or the next leader gets a vote of no confidence, or if there's a huge parliamentary conniption, or maybe if there's a revolt in the streets, that general election could come closer. So I just thought I'd wave that flag to you really so that you know what's going on. Personally, I don't trust any of those 3 Tories at all. Mr Gove, Mr Johnson, Mr Hunt. I think they're all essentially Tory sleazebags. I think that Gove and Hunt are smarmy, rich, and have their own agendas. And I think that Mr Johnson tells lies all the time. And that's my opinion. There you go. What would I say to you? I would say to you, choose any way you can to get away from the Tory leadership as it stands. We need to have a proper general election, and we need it urgently, because in reality, so many people like me probably you as well. So many people like you and me need to see a change in the way politics works and get people in the frame who come across at least as being more honest, more straightforward, and have the best interests of our country at heart. I'm Chris. This is the Old Geezer's Diary. I'll see you soon.